Yeah, let me reshare the screen so the sound is going to come with it. Let's see, share computer sound. Now we're watching a short video here that's 4 minutes long. What this is going to allow us to do is see how to program a button click. And then we're going to progress from there, and we'll be looking at the same type of code that we did in the previous class, the Blender class, because that's part of the HLC makes a requirement that we measure program outcomes. And what should you know come out of a programming class? Well, you should know how to do a for loop, a while loop, and an if statement. Those are the three main ones. And so we'll be covering reviewing those topics. And we haven't seen a while loop and a for loop too much in this class. So that's why I want to spend some time reviewing that. Um, and then we'll be ready for a test award. So, and the same principles that you're going to see me work today is what you're going to do for the test. So if you understand what I'm going through today, you understand the project I'm going to assign, which will be almost the same as the Blender one, then you'll be able to do the test no problem at all. And test will be next time. I'll give you time during class to do it. Um, might play one of the videos for the next, like I say, Super Mario Brothers ripoff, or have you do that at home. We'll see. Is that volume okay now? Okay. Okay, that's probably about the exciting part there. What I've done with the example, and I'm going to start a brand new example here after I show this one. But I've added on two text fields, and I haven't given names or anything. I haven't really done much except for change the color so they appear I can see them easier. And I dropped on a button for the the first text. What I've done, excuse me, I've added on a script. That's what this answer one script is. Now I've up here declared a text answer. I've also imported the Unity engine. And then I got public static string S1. This is so I can set this outside of this class. So over in my button handler, I can access S1 directly. This is kind of a lazy way of doing it. It's an easy way. And I can't say there's anything really wrong with it for what our purposes. Could be there might be a better, more efficient ways if you had a huge game. And then down here, I set answer equal to this dot get component text, and this will access the text portion of that text. And then I set the text equal to a value, and then I also set the S1 equal to a value. So I set that equal to high. Okay, now that S1 is referring to this right here. So that's just in our startup. Then in our update, which runs through each game cycle, it's going and setting this up. Answer is equal to this dot get component text, and then its answer text is equal to S1. Now you might say, well, S1 is just always equal to high. Well, it appears like that from here, but over my button handler, what I do here is I set answer one dot S1 is equal to what when I call this set text method. Well, where do I set that? Call that. Well, if I choose my button, you see I programmed on click, and you really can't see it here, but there's a this says runtime only, and this down here is the button handler script. Now over here you can see we got button handler dot set text. So whenever you click a button, it calls this code right here. So it calls set text, which is this right here, which then sets the S1 of answer equal to what? And again, S1 is what I got it declared here, public static string. And then the game cycle will automatically update it to what? I know, clear as mud. We're going to do an example. We'll add two numbers together first, and then I'll progress on to the for loop and while loop. But when I click this, it just changes it to what? Okay, so let me start a new project. We'll kind of see the entire thought process from the beginning. Add numbers. Excuse me. After we get done with our Super Mario Brothers ripoff, we'll I really do like how you pronounce that or said that. Then we'll progress more into the canvas because this is how you can keep track of or how you can display items you've kept track of. Like if you've collected charms along the way, if you collected weapons along the way, if you want to change to a different weapon. All this is done through a canvas. Starting a game, if you want a button on it, then we'll see how to start the game and so forth. Along with that, we're going to have to be writing out to a file or database of some sort. We'll see how to do that. But after we get done with that Super Mario Brothers, that should cover all of our different platform. So if you want to create a platformer game, you now have that those skills. Okay, so I want to drop on a canvas here. Specifically, when I drop on my first text, it'll automatically drop the canvas on for us. So if I right click up here and I choose UI text, you notice it drops a canvas on there and gives us a text. I'm gonna, on my canvas here, I'll right click and choose UI text. And right click on that, choose UI button. Now I got button selected, and if I put my mouse over here in this gray area, if I press F for focus, it'll focus in on that. And my button, I can do the arrow button here to move them to different locations. Actually, I guess I want this up here. Okay, my text here. If I do an F, I don't know why it throws it down there. I'll do an F, bring the focus in there. This text is in the right place. And those are kind of hard to see, so I'm going to have those selected. Let me change the color over here. Click that, change it to yellow. Okay, so then I need another text. So click on this, choose user interface, and choose text. Maybe I don't want text, I want input field, I think. Okay, let me choose text there. This one's text. Okay. And it's probably good. The width of this, 100. Width of this one, 100. Okay. Drop on here, user interface, input field. And I can right click on it, just choose duplicate. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, so the idea here is I could type in something here, type in something here. I click this button here and I want to add them together and put my result here. Okay, so for our input field here, I'm going to come over here and I'll choose add component. And I'm going to choose new script. And I'm going to say input one code. This one, the second one here, get it to click. I'll click add component, choose new script, input two code. Okay, so we'll double click input one code here so I can get it to come up. And up here, I'm going to have a public static. Let's make it an integer, num1. Now I need to import using Unity engine dot io. No, UI. Never remember that. And I'm gonna have a text here declared. Text T1. Well, I'm gonna set them equal to 0 initially, so I don't have to worry about it converting it if it's nothing there. But I'm going to take the value that's in my text. So I'll say T1 is equal to this dot get component text. And that's going to return a string. So I'm going to say num1 is equal to T1 dot get string. No, dot text. Now that's going to return a string. We want to convert it to an integer. So I'll do integer dot int dot. I get there eventually. Int dot parse t1 dot text. Okay, so the idea here. Get rid of that. Assuming this works, this is our generic num1 that we want to be able to access from any class. I declare T1 and I pull off the text component, which should be the value whatever they enter in the field. And then I do a parse and convert it to an integer and assign it to num1. Well, initially, I want these input fields be equal to 0. So let's see where that's at. 0. And here, change that to 0. Now I also need to put the same code on the second one. And I guess I could change these to say, instead of new text, say num1 and num2. Okay, so I'm going to go to input 2 code. And I can go and steal a lot of this over from here. It's just going to be the same for the most part. So up here, I'm going to say using Unity Engine UI. And text, what do I call it? T1, so I call this T2. Public, static, int, num2. So again, I'm just copying this to change the numbers. We're going to update. So get rid of the start. There's other ways you can do this, by the way, but T2 equals this dot get component text. And I'll say num2 is equal to int dot parse. And I'll say T2 dot text. Again, what this is doing is it's making the association between my variable T2 and the text component. The T2.text retrieves whatever they put in the text box. This converts it to an integer and then assigns it to num2, which num2 is defined as public static int. So we should be able to access it from with any other code. Okay. Now here's where our answer is going to go, where the new text is. If I can access it. You can name these meaningful names. Like I call it my answer, if I want to be able to easily see which one it is. I could call the input field here num1, num2. That's up to you. Okay, for our answer, I'm going to click Add Component, and I choose New Script on it, and I'll call this Answer Code. And I'll double click it. Got double clicked it. Okay, so here, I'm going to put a using Unity Engine user interface. I'm going to call it a text answer here. And public static int sum. This is what I'm going to update with the sum. Now initially I just set the sum equal to 0 here. That's our start. Then down in our update here, I'm going to make the association between answer and the text. So this dot get component text, and I'll say answer the text is equal to, and I need to convert to a string, so I need to cast it, or I think I can just do a sum dot toString. Yeah, like that. So programmatically, I'm going to set this value whenever they click a button. Then down here in the update, when it makes the association between the text and the variable answer. And then I set answer.text equal to whatever sum is converted to a string, so it'll print. I know there's a lot of different components here, but I'm recording this so you can kind of later kind of digest it all. Okay, so now my button. I want to put code behind this, so I'm going to come down here and click Add Component and New Script, and I'll call it Button Handler. Doesn't have to be called Button Handler, but that's oftentimes handlers what they refer to it as. And click Button Handler here. And I click it, Yeah, yes it is. Okay, now first off, um, we're going to be retrieving some values based upon when we click a button. So I'm going to program public. I don't know if I need to make this static or not. We'll see. Public, um, public void button click. I'm going to have N1, N2, and the sum. Now N1, I'm going to get off of input one code. Remember over here in input code, one code, I created a variable called num1 with a public static int. I made that static public so I could access it outside of that code. So I'm going to say input one code dot num1. N2, I'm going to refer to input two code dot num2. Same rationale there. I made the public static so I could access it directly. The sum is equal to N1 plus N2. And now I want to set this over here in my answer code. The answer code, again, I had a public static int sum here, so I could set that. So answer code, is it the sum or sum? Sum is equal to the sum. Okay, save all that. Now I need to make the association between the button click and that code I just created. So you want to have your button chose here. It's not already chose. Down here is our button handler script. And up here under the button script, it has on click. Now if I click the plus here, you can have it programmed to run something. Now the easiest way is to grab your button handler down here, the script, drag and drop it right on where it says none and let up. And that'll make the association between the code you put on there and it's on click. Now if I do this drop down here, I can then choose, what can I choose? It's under one of these. No memory. Well, let me go look. I called it button click. Okay. Okay, so button click. I think it's that right here. This is not created by it. This is whatever I named it over in the other one. I probably should have named it something weird so you could see it. But if I choose that, you now see it says button handler, button click. So when I click the button, it'll run that code. When I run that code, it'll go out and get whatever has been set via the input one code and input two code, add them together, and then put it back to answer code, which gets updated. Okay, so if I put in 3 here, 4 here, that's not working. Why isn't that working? Let's see. I should be setting num2. Num2. Okay. Num1. Let's check that code. Sum. Okay, so let's save that. Go to my console here. That indicates I got an error somewhere. Input one code. Not set to an instance. T1.text, this.get component. Okay, let's run it. Three, four. Obviously, this is an issue here. Num2 equals int.parse t2.text. Let me put a debugger here. Okay, attach that to Unity. And get rid of those. Okay, continue. 3, 4. Okay, so it goes and gets T2, which is null. So it isn't. It's not setting it to an instance. All right. Forgetting something. I'm gonna cheat and go look at the. Okay, Unity, Canvas, retrieve or setting. Setting the text of an input field. Okay, Unity Engine, public input field. And then we're just doing T2 dot or dot text. Okay. And the implication there is I may not even need to make that association. Input field. Save that. It's never assigned to 3, 4. Something like something. Okay. We'll attach to Unity. Unfortunately, it runs through every time you update it. Otherwise, so you want to unassign it when you run it. Three, 4. Okay, come over here. For a breakpoint. T1 is still null. Doesn't make the association here, which should have to. Otherwise, I would have known to T1 equals this dot get component input field. 2 equals this dot get component. Input field. Looks better. My errors are all gone. I'm getting closer. 3, 4, that's promising they're changing. There it is. That's my main issue was instead of using text, I should have been using input field. Okay. Questions on that? Clear as mud. Okay, so I'm gonna have another button here that I'm going to program multiplying all numbers from 1 to 9, and I'll do it with a while loop and a for loop. So let me drop on another text here. So I'll right click on this, choose user interface text. This time text is fine because I don't plan to input anything in. I was showing this just for future, like if you're doing a settings screen and you want to be able to have them type in information here, that's how you'd retrieve it. Color yellow, so I can see it. And I'll right click on this, choose duplicate, move it down a little bit. This first one is going to be my product, so called prod for loop. The second one will be my product while loop. Now, both of them need code associated with it if we're going to use the same kind of thought process as the last one. So for my product for loop, I'm going to click Add Component and choose New Script. Product for loop code. And while I'm here, I guess I might as well create it for the other one too. Let me click it. There it goes. New script and product while loop code. Need a button on there, so let me right click on canvas and choose user interface button. You have to make sure that you're choosing the canvas there. You can't have two canvases on one program. And when I click this button, then I want it to update these. Okay, so to update these, I want to put public static variables in here. So I go to my product for loop. Is that one? Double click it. And again, the same way that we put our answer here, we need to have some similar code. So come up here, using Unity engine.ui. I'm going to have a text declared here, text T1, like that. And I'm going to have a public, static, int, and an answer. Don't need anything in my start, I don't believe. I'm going to set this equal to 0 initially. Okay, so then down here in my update, I'm going to update that based upon whatever's been put into the answer. When I say updated, I'm talking about the text field, of course. So I'm going to say T1 is equal to this dot get component text. It really is a text in this case because it's not an input field. And T1 dot text is equal to answer dot to string. So every time it goes up through the update, it'll check. It won't check, but it'll go ahead and do it. It'll get whatever, make the association. It'll get whatever's been put in the answer, if anything. If it hasn't put anything, it's 0, and set it to T1.text. Okay, so let's do the same thing with our while loop. And let's see. Using Unity engine dot user interface. I'm going to have a text here, text T1, and public static int answer, initialize it to 0. I'll need a start. In my update, I need to make the connection between T1 and this component. So this dot get component text T1 dot text is equal to answer dot to string. You may have noticed this is the exact same code as the last one. I think I tried to name everything the same even. We could reuse this. We could have declared a generic code and dropped it into each individual one, but don't worry about that. Now I need to program this button. So the button, this button, let's see which one that is, this one. Okay, I need a script on it. Let's escape out of that. Escape. Okay. I had my canvas chose. I want the button. Click Add Component, New Script, and this will be my calculation. So calculation code. Double-click calculation code. Get rid of those. Public void calc. Okay, so I'm going to have an integer called product, and I set equal to 1 initially. I want my for loop. For the for loop, you have your initializer first. So int x equals 1. We want to continue while x is less than or equal to 9. That's our Boolean condition we're checking. And then x plus plus to increase it by 1. And then product is equal to product times x. And now I want to write that out to my for loop. Now my code for the for loop was prod for loop code right here. So prod for loop code dot answer is equal to, and this is an integer, the answer, so I can just assign it directly to product, like that. Now I also want something from my while loop. So I'm going to set product back to equal to 1. I need a variable called x. assuming you can let me use x again. I'm going to initialize it to 1. And while x is less than or equal to 9, put curly braces. Do I need curly braces? I need curly braces. Product is equal to product times x. And I want to increase x by 1. So x is equal to x plus 1. And when that's done, I want to write that out to my prod while loop code right here. Prod while loop code dot answer is equal to product. Now I'm going to save this, and I have to make the association between this method I just created called calc and the button click. So I still got my button chose here. My button script right here, this has nothing to do with what I added. That's what it's added. I click the plus here. Now I want to drag the code I have down here onto there. Choose the no function, go down to calculation code, and well, let's see. This is a code I just added, calculation code. I dragged it onto here. What did I call it? Public void calc. Do I need a static? I wonder. I don't see calc at all. Did I save it? Shouldn't need to do that. Set text. Public void button click. I don't think I'm seeing anything wrong with that. Remove this. Okay. Here's my calculation code. So that one there. Got my button here. Drag my calculation code onto here. Try it again. Why is it called calculation code? Let's just be user friendly. So I didn't put a space in there. Okay, so I got that calculation code. Okay, it's associated with that. Didn't like that. Oh, I got an error. What doesn't it like about that? Local cannot be declared in a scope because the name is used in an enclosing local scope to define. Okay, whatever. INTX. Can't declare down here. There. Won't let you attach it if you can't write your code correct. Okay. Try to. Okay. Drag, drop this on here. That looks good. Choose down here, calculation code. Button click. That's the way it's supposed to work. Okay, so let's run this. And I'm clicking that, but it's, oh, there it goes. And that works. Does that make sense how you attach a code to a button? Or I guess I should ask, is there any questions on that? Well, the assignment on that took a little bit longer than I thought, so we're not going to get to our fake Super Mario Bros. Today. I want you to find a product of all even numbers from 2 to 20 using a while loop, using a for loop. Add all numbers from 1 to 50 using a for loop. Add all numbers from 1 to 50 using a while loop. And the product of items 4 is greater than 100, print it is greater than 100, otherwise print it's not. You should have 5 and they will actually be text objects. You don't have to do input fields on this unless you just want to make it fancy. But should have 5 text box or text objects that you update programmatically. And that'll be an assignment for that. I'll give you the rest of the time to work on that. Um, if you can do this, you're going to be well prepared for the test. And I know there's a lot of little different components there, but you have the YouTube video goes along with this for today, so you can play with that and add those on if you need to. Questions on the project? I'll go ahead and put it out there then, and I'll stop the video. You can have some rest time work on that.